Okay, so we are live. Thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you making time for me, especially on a Friday. It's interesting. I think a lot of people are getting Zoom fatigue, but there's so much great information out there. And if you can take advantage of it, then that just helps you, gives you a competitive advantage over others. But so let's get started. So foolproof promotion strategies to confidently grow and scale your brand. I want to point out a statistic on this slide that I think is really interesting, that $244 billion was spent on promotions in 2017, and it only drove 2.4% sales increase over the entire channel. It's all outlet. The reason this matters is because every brand struggles with trade promotions, and every brand struggles to try to get the most out of them. So we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the things that you can do as a brand, some of the things that you can do as an individual to help guide and support their brand. Do me a favor and think of some questions as we're going through this, and then put them in the Q&A or the chat, and I'll make sure that we answer them at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. So I start out with this slide a lot, and I know you've seen it probably on almost every deck, but we need to constantly remember that shopper journey is changed. And the reason this matters is because a lot of people don't think about, what does the shopper journey look like? How many of us have been at a grocery store, cart in line, money in hand, and no one's there to check us out? Think about the things that frustrate us, or we've been online and we're searching for something and we just want to know what the price is, or we want to know if it comes in my size or something like that. And the experience is not conducive. It's not supportive. It's not friendly. So think about what you can do as a brand to constantly improve the shopper journey. So this all begins with a sturdy foundation. Now, I know this presentation is about promotion strategies, but one of the things that I find that literally just about every brand struggles with is the foundation. They don't have things in place to support all the different initiatives that they have. And if you don't have a sturdy foundation, then all the things that you're doing are for naught, that you're not going to get the traction that you need down the road. This is why this is so critically important. This is exactly why we always start here, because it's that foundation that you build on. It's that foundation that you grow and scale on. And more importantly, when you can get everyone on your sales team in lockstep, supporting that mission, supporting and understanding what you're doing to drive the business forward, that's the starting place that you need to be. So why does this matter? I developed the Turnkey Sales Story Strategies course, and this is at the core of it. And the whole idea behind it is most brands don't really know who their core consumer is. They have a generic understanding of, well, female, head of household, that kind of stuff, but they don't understand their customer at almost a cellular level. In other words, as a friend, you have really good friends. You know all about your friends. You understand what's important to them. You understand what motivates them, what makes them sad, the whole bit. Most brands don't take the time to get to know their customers at that level. And as such, then they're marketing to customers, the generic customer, and they're not really serving that ideal customer that knows and loves your product, that loyal consumer that goes out of their way to buy your product even when it's not on sale. So you need to understand that first. And then secondly, you've heard me say this a lot, if I tell you a story and you tell someone else and they tell someone else and so on, by the time the story comes back around to me, it's unrecognizable. Literally, every brand struggles with this. This is the single most important thing that you need to bake into your sales strategy, is get everyone in lockstep. The reason this matters is because most brands spend most of the time talking at us rather than with us or to us. Again, that's where you want to have that unique relationship with your customer. This is exactly how I was able to push around big brands like P&G and Frito throughout my entire career. And so at the end of the day, what you want to know here is, how does your customer use your product when they get home? And the reason this matters is that there are probably nuances or probably things that you haven't learned about them yet that are going to help you target, or better focus, laser focus, create a laser focused trade marketing promotion strategy that's going to help you grow and scale. And so Part of that course is you need to also become an expert in your competitor's product. Now, everyone says, yeah, I know who my competition is, et cetera, but how well do you really know them? If you know them at that same granular level, then that's going to give you distinct and significant competitive advantage. And so who is their core customer? Again, we talked about who's your core customer, who's their core customer, what's unique, what's different about them. And if you understand who their core customer is, then you can market toward them, or you can direct your promotions toward meeting their needs. So why do they choose your competitor's product over your product? And this is a really important distinction. If you had an opportunity to go into the aisle and talk to every customer that buys your product, why do you choose them over us or something like that? That's going to give you insights that you can't get in any focus group or any place else. It's those insights that are going to differentiate you when you put together your trade and promotion strategy. And then what is your go-to-market strategy? Pay attention to your customers. I find that what's interesting in this industry, especially, that a lot of people don't really focus on what their competitors' go-to-market strategy is. And I'll share some examples of why that matters and how you can get around that. But exactly how do they promote their product? And I'll give you an example why this matters. Every year, P&G would put out promotions. I worked for Kimberly-Clark and Unilever, their main competitors, and they would promote their products around November. Well, I knew that. And so what I did is I would put together my promotions so that I would do my best to get everyone to pantry load and load up on our products the month prior to their promotion. So I kind of take the wind out of their sail. But more importantly, it also helped me understand what their go-to-market strategy was so that I could react to it, be proactive rather, but I could react to it in real time, and I could take advantage of everything that was going on in the store. So I didn't want to promote at the same time, but I could promote before. And then I could also develop relationships with other brands and co-promote and stuff with them too. So what is the promotion strategy? I mentioned that. You want to know everything you can about your competition. What is their distribution strategy? Where can you find their products? A lot of brands will get distribution anywhere they can. There's a lot of reasons why that's a bad idea. But understanding where your competitor promotes a product, where they get distribution, that's important. Because the other thing you want to know is you're developing your understanding of your customer is where do they promote and how do they promote in each customer. And the reason that matters is because, again, you're trying to really get to know and understand your customer, your competitor, so that you could develop strategies that take advantage of everything you know so that you can hopefully get their customers to come in and buy your products. And again, what is their merchandising strategy? And this is, all this stuff that we're talking about here, where their products sold, talked about that. The reason this stuff matters is because you need to become an expert in your competition. Now, you're never going to bash your competition, but when you're talking to the retailer and you're putting together trade copy, et cetera, you can kind of give little nudges about why your product's best. Our product is best because this. Our product is different from other products on the shelf because of, and this helps answer those questions. So back to the trade marketing, the Turnkey Sales Source Strategies course, that's what that course teaches you. It's those foundational elements that you can grow and scale your brand on. So retailers want insights, fact-based insights. In this industry, unfortunately, you're led to believe that if you walk into a retailer and you hand them a top-line report, they're going to be impressed. No, they're not. They don't want the same canned reports that every other brand shows them. They want insights, real insights about what's unique about your brand, and more importantly, the customer that buys your product. That's at the core of everything we're talking about. This is where you differentiate yourself. And when you're talking about that information, what does it look like from the customer's perspective? Remember a minute ago, we're talking about understanding the shopper journey. Well, from the shopper's perspective, what does it look like when they go into a store and they try to buy your product? If you've ever seen that show, Undercover Boss, I love the concept behind it. And the idea is that from a management standpoint, senior management standpoint, a lot of companies think that, everyone's on board. Everyone's doing exactly what we want them to do. But then when the CEO dresses up and goes to work as a grunt, they learn that the strategies that they thought were working and that were in place are not being used, or not being used all the way down the chain. Everyone's not subscribing to the same methodology, same mindset. The point is this: again, if you can get all your team to work in lockstep, that'll give you dramatic and significant and sustainable competitive advantage. So the next thing you need to know is you need to know your retail partner. Again, foundational stuff that you need to have in place before you even start thinking about your promotional strategy. So no two retailers are alike. You never forget that. The reason this matters is because promotion strategies today are very generic at best. It's assumed that every retailer does the same thing for the same reason, etc. Every customer is the same. Get out of that mindset. Let's personalize our offers so that we're talking to the retailer as an individual. We're talking to each customer as an individual. You need to become an expert in the retailer, the strategies, and the rules. It amazes me how many brands don't take the time to pay the respect due to the retailer to get to understand what do they expect from us. When I put together a promotion, what are the things that they need in place? One of my greatest successes at Kimberly-Clark was we were struggling with the retailers as an organization. This is before I came in, but I had a really good relationship with them. And so I got us back on track. And the way I did that is I would go to the different distribution centers. I would present what I was going to present to the VP of each division and say, what do you think? What do I need to do differently? How do I make this fit into your distribution center? How do I set this up so that it's turnkey, so that when I present it to the vice president, et cetera, they would say yes to my offers. So I would even include, for example, a schematic on a floppy disk. Shows you how old I am. But it's completely turnkey, plug and play, everything that they needed to be able to take our product, to be able to say yes to our products. And most people don't do that. So what is the retailer's persona? What do they want to be known for? And then more importantly, what do their customers think of them? And there's a subtle difference, but it's dramatic. Knowing the answer to those two questions is going to help guide the retailer to drive sales in their store. I'll give you an example. There was a retailer that I was working with several years ago that what happened was, let me back up a little bit, frame it this way. Our biggest competitor walked in with a check and said, here, we want you to get rid of everything with with our brand, our Huggies actually. And so what I did is I went out and I found out who the customer that shops at the store, what they look like, how they shop the store, etc. And so when I went back to the retailer and said, here's our customer, here's your customer, see how similar they are, and here's the competitor's customer, and see how they were only focused on the deal and the promotion. Long story short, that check was given back to that competitor, and we got exclusive distribution in that retailer for several months. In addition to that, we're able to use that store to get exclusive distribution at several other retailers within the west part of the country. See the power of this, understanding not only what your retailer's persona is, but their customer. And so you always want to put the retailer first, right? A lot of people say that, but they really don't do that. Make sure they know how important you are to everything you do, how they're important to your business. Never assume anything. A lot of people assume stuff when working with a retailer. I used to be a retailer before, and a lot of people used to come to me and say, I need you to do this for me. This is why, my brand's important. You need to have it on the shelf in this position, et cetera. But few, if any, came to me and said, here's how I'm going to help you drive sales in your store. In fact, the secret to my success as a DSD driver and other positions I've had is I've always gone into every situation, every sales call from the perspective of the retailer. How can I help you achieve your goals, more customers in their store, a reasonable profit in the category, and a competitive advantage? How do I help you achieve those goals by leveraging the strength of my customer? You never apply cookie cutter stretch. Never apply a cookie cutter approach. Again, keep talking about this. Every brand does that. Don't do that. Don't be that other brand. Always understand, how can you improve the customer journey? How can you make it easier for customers to come into the store again and again and again? Focus on the long-term relationship. Remember, retail is a marathon, not a sprint. And you want to become a value-added solution to that retailer. If you go into a market and you see something that's going on in a different category that you think might work at that retailer, go ahead and share that with them. Help become that invaluable resource to them so that they'll think of you first when they think about promotions. And never forget that customers have literally unlimited choices as to where they spend their hard-earned money. Just a minute. Sorry, my phone was buzzing. So, typical ranking report. Now, the reason I put this on here is because a lot of brands are led to believe that, again, if they show up at the retailer and they say, here's where I'm at in the ranking report, aren't I doing great? Look at me, wow, that the retailer is going to be impressed. And this, brands with deep pockets can buy velocity. And so this is a misnomer. This is not something you want to be showing your retail partner. Instead, again, they want actionable insights that they're not getting from anyone else. We've also heard about the Pareto curve and why this matters. This strategy frequently overlooks key sales drivers. This is why this matters. And so when we're talking about your unique product, your product probably contributes more to the profit of the category. But in a Pareto curve, it's probably well above the 80%. So with a traditional mindset, it should automatically be discontinued. You need to have a compelling story as to why your product matters. I'll give you another example. I worked for Kimberly-Clark again. We had Kleenex facial tissue. Then the pocket packs. The pocket pack had a very, very low velocity. High profit, low velocity. So we were able to show the contribution and get back to the category. Well, we were able to put it on the check stand. That became the gateway to the facial tissue category. So that even though that product by itself did not deserve to be in distribution using traditional mindsets, traditional methodologies, what happened was that product drove incremental sales into the category. Therefore, that item, that inconsequential item, quote unquote, became one of the key drivers, key sales drivers in the entire category. So you want to use an updated ranking report. And I've got an example of this in a couple of the different courses that I have. But the point is this, you want to show the retailer exactly how well your product's performing, not only in the market, not only in their store, but in the market as a point of comparison. And we'll get into that in other different webinars. So one of the things you want to do is you want to have a robust category management checklist, robust category management strategy. And category management originally was designed to weed out some of the inefficiencies and some of the wasted spending in CPG, in the way we went to business. Unfortunately, small natural brands today have the same problems that we had back then. So that's why if you can adopt a category management strategy and leverage those insights to help you grow and scale your brand, to better target the customer, to make sure that you manage your inventory correctly, etc., that's going to give you a competitive advantage. Remember, every little bit of money that you can save on your promotion strategy or any money you can save anywhere, you can dump that back into your business and you can better target the customer that you are trying to reach, etc. And part of this, by the way, is that you're aligning your strategy with the retailer strategy. And just as a side note, the way category management was originally designed was that we were to be independent consultants, quote unquote, for the retailer, on behalf of the retailer. So I got paid by Kimberly-Clark and Unilever as a category captain, but I went to work for Safeway, for Kroger, for whoever else, right? Albertsons. And the reason that matters is that they're supposed to be unbiased. Because if you can provide great insights to the retailer, that's when that changes that relationship between you and the retailer, where if they're savvy, they'll give you incremental opportunities they'll give anyone else. So as you're getting to develop your category management strategy, Again, you really need to understand what's unique about the retailer. What are the things that they do? What are in terms of their promotion strategy? What are their goals? What is their persona? And then you want to overlay the right strategies to address that. Now, I'm not going to go through everything on this chart, but the point is that if I can align what I'm doing as a brand to support the retailer, if I understand how they use their data, if I can use their POS, if I get access to their POS data, their point of sale data, that's great. And I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes why that matters and how that can give you a competitive disadvantage. In the natural channel, one of the biggest struggles is that the syndicated data does not align well with the different retailers in the natural channel. That's a problem. So when we're talking about you're maximizing your trade marketing ROI or strategies you need to have in place, the problem with that is if you're looking at data for a region and you're trying to focus on a market or on a retailer, well, those are two different animals, those don't align very well. And so you've got to have specific data because accuracy matters. So let's talk a little bit about goal setting. Again, foundational things that we need to have in place. An airplane flying from Hawaii to San Diego is off course most of the time. The pilot's constantly adjusting things. Same thing with your business. This is why you need to be proactive. This is why you need to start developing your strategies long in advance. So, goal setting 101. You need to be proactive, not reactive. You need to be thoughtful in terms of how you put together your promotions, and you need to dream big. The reason this matters is because this is where the planning process starts. When you're thinking about your promotional strategy, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? If you decided that your goal was to increase sales by 5% next year, how would you get there? This is where that begins. This is where you need to think about how many doors do I need to be in? How many promotions do I need to put together to get to that number? And so focus on the target, right? Retail's a marathon, not a sprint. The race is run with a solid strategy. Again, this is why we keep talking about this. Most of the brands, especially the brands in the natural channel, effectively hand their keys to a broker or someone else to run their business for them. The reason that I do what I do is I'm trying to give you the strategies so that you can keep all the go-to-market strategy, all the battle plan or whatever you want to call it, in your brand and manage it from the brand level and have your brokers and everyone else execute it on your behalf. This is the win-win for you. This is where you get the most out of that relationship. So this is why the importance of a unified plan. Remember, we're talking about if I tell you a story and you tell someone a story and so on, this is where things break down. So as you're putting together your promotional strategy, if it's not leveraged the same way throughout your entire sales funnel, you're going to fail. It's not going to be as effective as it would have been otherwise. And again, you want to learn the key metrics of the retailer. You want to learn the key metrics that drive promotions. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Back to the customer journey. Cannot emphasize that enough. One of the things that this industry doesn't do, and I'm trying to change that, is that when you think about promotions, retailers and distributors think of promotions as a profit center to them. First of all. Secondly, when you learn about promotions in this industry, it's how do you squeeze as much margin out of a single item? That's a big mistake. Instead, you start at the market basket, the sum total of everything someone buys when they check out of a store, and you work backwards. If your item's in the shopping basket, what are the other items in the shopping basket with it? And then try to understand the relationship between those items. Back to getting to know your customer. When they took your product home, what other items are in the shopping basket? How do they use your product, etc.? And by aligning those two things, that's going to help you better tailor your target your promotional messaging. So what are the other items shoppers buy when they buy your product? Again, that's important. And the reason that matters is because your shopping basket is going to be much higher than a small brand. So back to the Kleenex Pocket Pack. The market basket for Kleenex and the Kleenex Pocket Packet was much higher than customers that didn't buy it. And by being able to leverage that with the retailer, we were able to demonstrate how important our brand was to their overall success. And you want to plan well in advance. I keep saying that. The reason this matters is you can change your plan. Remember the goal setting? You can change your plan as needed. But if you've got a plan in advance, that gives you a target to shoot for. And it helps you better. It puts you in a position where you're focused on achieving an objective. And you want to leverage your plan with your retailers. Go to your retail partners as you get to know them, better, and have a conversation with them and tell them, here's what my goals are. How do I help you? First of all, how do I help you reach your goal? And then here's what I'm trying to do. How can we work together to achieve that goal? And if the retailer sees you as being a value-added resource, that go-to solution provider, that's when they start working with you and giving you incremental opportunities. And this all becomes when you develop a trusted relationship with your retailer. So as you want to gain a competitive advantage, most brands are reactive, not proactive. I keep saying that. This is, again, the Achilles heel of almost every brand. They put together a promotion strategy because this is what they did last month. And without thinking about, well, how does that impact their sales? How does that help them achieve those objectives? The reason this matters is because if you have the discipline to plan things out and to think that far down the road, that's going to give you a competitive advantage. That's going to help it's going to help you marshal all your efforts and all of your resources to help you achieve that. So the little image here, sales success begins with a solid business plan. This is one of the free mini courses in the school that I did with my good friend Michael J. O'Donnell. By the way, he's going to be on in 2 weeks. We're going to go more in depth in this, so you want to make sure that you attend that. But in that module, what we talked about how to build your strategy into your business plan so that you can make sure that everyone is operating in lockstep, etc. The benefits of a proactive strategy. Again, most of your competitors are not using this strategy. Everyone's got a different point of view. Everyone's got a different way of doing things. They're not communicating specifically the way that you would communicate if you were on the sales call, and same as the founder would, etc. So if you can get everyone on lockstep, again, sharing the same story, the same authenticity, passion, as excitement, enthusiasm as the founder, that's going to differentiate your brand. And you don't want to take for granted your promotion strategy. A lot of people do that. This is something you want to review on a regular basis. In fact, one of the strategies that I've been helping brands with is that you develop your strategy at the top level, and then you help that trickle down into the lower levels of the business, actually the sales team, et cetera, and then have them start trickling back up their success stories. Interact with them. Have them become a part of your success. Don't farm this out. And the reason I say don't farm this out is a lot of brands will farm out their promotion strategy, their trade promotion, or they'll have a tool that will quote unquote manage their trade promotions for them. Those tools are similar to QuickBooks for trade marketing. They don't get into the details that you need to be paying attention to when you want to try to differentiate your brand on shelf. Brands need to own their own strategy in-house. I keep saying that. When you effectively hand the keys to your brand to someone else, they don't have your passion. Brokers are fantastic at helping you in different ways. But the reality is that brokers apply or use cookie cutter approaches to help them be efficient. So there's just one example why you wouldn't want to have them execute your competitor strategy on your behalf or something like that. So you want to commit to becoming a trade marketing expert. You need to understand the basics, at least that. And I've got something that I'm going to share with you in just a minute that's going to help you achieve that goal. You want to make this a priority. You want to revisit it often. Again, as you're flying between Hawaii and San Diego, you're constantly off track. You constantly need to be revisiting your trade marketing plans so that you make sure that you're on target to meet your goals. Leverage your partners to gain a competitive advantage. This goes back to, again, working with your retailer. So how do you tie your trade marketing plan into your sales marketing plan? This is something that, oddly enough, I think a lot of brands struggle with this. And so, especially big brands, by the way, they're very siloed in terms of the way they go to market, the way they do things. You've got the sales and marketing team, you've got the branding team, you've got the category management, et cetera. The reason this matters is because if you can get everyone in your team, on your team, to work together on these plans. It's going to help you amplify the successes. It's going to help you identify any potential bottleneck before it derails you. And you want to apply a multi-channel approach. Every brand today should be available anywhere your customer shops. You should have an online store on your website. You should have online opportunities too, like at Amazon, etc. But you should also have a traditional brick and mortar strategy. The reason this matters is you want to be available wherever your customer shops. Another thing I talk a lot about is how you need to develop a community around your brand offline, where you can get to know your community and have that individual specific relationship with them. This gives you insights into how customers buy and use your products. Part of that is the digital strategy that we kind of alluded to a minute ago. Your digital strategy is how do you maximize each and every opportunity to get in front of a customer. I'll give you an example. Customers, when they go to a store today, they pick up the package and they look at it and they do some research. They'll probably go to your website to understand a little bit about the product. Well, when you get to your website, make sure you're answering their questions. Remember the shopper journey? Let them know about let them know about your brand story. What is the journey to get to where you're at? What is the solution that you're trying to fix, that you're addressing? What's in their product? What do the ingredients look like, etc.? Have that strategy online so that customers can go back and then learn more about your product. Then you can leverage that asset everywhere you sell your product. So when you're working with a retailer, you can have them, give them access to snippets of customer testimonials and stuff like that when you're telling them how great your product is or where you want to promote it or how you want to promote it. And again, leverage your online to drive sales in traditional retail. This is where the art and science of getting your product in the hands of shoppers and make it easier for shoppers to find and buy your products matters so much. This is at the heart of true category management. So this is actually one of the modules that I use, one of the free weekly webinars that I put out there a while back. So if you haven't seen it, go back and look at it. So 8 proven strategies to maximize your trade marketing ROI, consistent brand messaging, what we've been talking about all this time so far. Purpose, this is your goal setting. You've got to have a purpose. What is the goal of the promotion? What are you trying to achieve? Is this something where you're trying to drive sales incrementally over time, by how much, etc.? Got to use your creativity. All the strategies that I'm teaching you, they're great. They're going to help you. They're going to be fantastic additions to your toolbox. But it's your creativity that's going to differentiate your brand from another brand. So as you use these tools, it's your creativity that's going to amplify your results. And you want to plan ahead, right? Keep saying that again and again and again. If you plan ahead, then you're not going to have a situation where you've got a problem. For example, let's say you set up a demo and you don't have enough product in the back room or store, and actually just any promotion. This is one of the biggest failings most brands make. They have a promotion. There's not enough product in the back room of the store to support the promotion, and thus the promotion fails. What you do instead is you upset a lot of customers. In fact, actually, the distribution tracker was born out of trying to solve that problem. The distribution tracker that spends on sales, I'm the one who created it. But that product, that tool, was designed to help a retailer not make that mistake again. Strong brand building strategy. Again, how does your brand building strategy resonate throughout your entire sales funnel? Your promotion schedule, we'll talk about that in just a minute. Efficient trade fund management. As you're managing your trade funds, you want to identify which retailer should get the lion's share of whatever based upon how well they support you. That's a conversation we're going to save for another day. By the way, go back and look at this course where I talk about this more. You always want to pay on scan. And by paying on scan, you're getting accountability for your promotions. And then the bonus, you want to measure promotions. A lot of people don't do that. They say, here's how much I spent, and that's about it. In this situation, what I'm recommending is that you understand exactly what was the impact of the promotion. How did it impact the retailer? What kind of lift did you see in the category? And then also you want to constantly improve. You constantly want to work on strategies to take what you've learned, find a way to make them better. This is how you grow. This is how you develop a foolproof strategy to grow your trade marketing. Part of that is you need to know the things that impact your sales. You need to know the causals. What is the cause that caused sales to increase or decrease? I've got a course that I put out that I've just made free. I'm going to show you in just a minute. And I'm also building a more robust course, but I've also got a tool to help you do this. And so you can play around with it. You can understand if I have a feature in a display or a temporary price reduction or whatever, how does that impact sales at the end of the day? You need to understand these basics. And again, this is what I've got in a lot of different courses. Once you understand that, then you can pick and choose which makes most sense for your brand. Part of what you need to do as you're going through this is you need to understand why what happened. In other words, if you lowered your price by so much, by 3% or 5% or 10%, what did that do to the sales? Okay, then if you had a feature on top of that or display, how did that impact your sales? And that's what this chart tells you here. By the way, you can go back and look at this again. I'll put it on YouTube in a little bit. Now, part of what you're trying to achieve here is you want to understand the impact of your promotion on your competition. And this is at the heart of what I wanted to talk to you about today. You also want to understand what the impact of your competitor's promotion on your brand and on the category and on the market that the retailer's in. This is where you start getting into the weeds of the promotion, but this is what's going to give you that unique, significant understanding, competitive understanding of what's really driving sales. The reason this matters is because very few, if any, brands do this, even the big brands. Part of this has to do with the fact that data is difficult to get a hold of that has this kind of information in it, this robust information. But if you partner with your retailer and if you're able to show them that you can help them with this, they might even give you access to their internal data, which is great. And by the way, that's one of the things I was able to do successfully for several years. And I've done it for some of my clients as well. But my point is this. The more you can become a valued resource to the retailer and help them understand these nuances, help them understand, did they take share away from their competitor when they promoted? Or did that promotion, did it actually drive sales over time? This is the key of everything you do when you're trying to develop a foolproof strategy. Another thing you need to know is you need to understand the seasonality. Some brands, some categories are not seasonal. This is example, the soup category. And as you can see, soup sales increase during the colder months. And you might have a seasonality component to your brand. You need to understand that. And then more importantly, what does the seasonality look like when you're talking about your competitors' products? This is a bit more blown up example, what I was showing you a minute ago, where you can see where this is what happened in the brand, this is what happened in the retailer, this is what happened in the market. When you get to this level of granularity, this is where you're able to help that account, the retailer, drive more sales. This is where you become the value-added resource to the retailer. Now, a reason I put this in here is that this is one of the biggest problems, especially in the natural channel that brands face. Not everyone understands where their data comes from. So garbage in, garbage out. You've got to make sure that your data aligns with the retailer that you're working with. If you wanted to know, you've probably heard me say this, if you wanted to know what your sales were or how well your sales are driving in Denver, Colorado in the natural channel, there's no database on the planet that's going to answer that. If you want to compare your sales at one retailer in Denver in the natural channel, you can't do that as well because there's like a 5-state region where the database looks at a 5-state region. So you've got to understand those nuances. You don't want to use, for example, total U.S. data to be able to focus on what's going on in Colorado or Canada or anywhere else, right? Now, there's some workarounds, and I can show you some creative strategies to get around some of that. One of the other things you need to understand, and just at a top level, is that the databases don't align between the retailer and syndicated data provider. The reason this matters is because if you're using one of those tools that helps you manage your trade marketing, I guarantee it's overlooking this. And if you're overlooking this, then you're not paying attention to what is really driving the sales. If you, let's say, for example, I go into a store and I buy a product on Sunday. Well, the database may overlook that or may not report. It's not going to report that unless you use the next week. And if you use the next week from the syndicated data provider, then you're including sales that weren't part of the promotion. So I get more into this in a lot of the other courses, a lot of the other webinars. But just for now, just understand that that's something you need to be aware of. Your promotion schedule. This is something that you need to have in place as you develop a foolproof strategy for your trade promotions. And so a lot of people think about, okay, your promotion schedule, what does that look like? And they don't really get into the nitty gritty. Remember I talked about personalization? This is what I'd recommend. Develop a strategy like this, a promotion strategy, where first you want to overlay the retailer's promotion strategy, and then you want to overlay what you're doing. So do this for every single retailer that your product is sold in. The reason this matters, that personalization, if I can develop my strategy, or build my strategy around them, and I can promote my product when they're promoting one of their events, I'm going to get a bigger lift, right? I'm going to get more out of that promotion. So as you're trying to think about foolproof strategies to amplify your trade marketing, this is perhaps the easiest way to do that. Another thing you want to do is you want to reach out to complementary products, and you want to promote them, co-promote them at the same time. So I'm not talking about ketchup and mustard or something like that, but think about some of the unique brands that you might be able to collaborate with. And I've used this example before, perhaps food stirs excuse me, I can't think of it. Find another example. So let's think about cookies and chips, or dip and chips rather, or something like that. So try to put together two products that align nicely, that complement each other, and promote at the same time. Take advantage of that. And that's going to help you amplify that opportunity. And so where do you get the insights and the resources for this? And this is, just sharing this with you. This is why I put together the Brand Secrets and Strategies podcast. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. Share it. Share this resource with other people. But the reason I put this together is because I'm trying to bring you insights from CEOs, industry thought leaders, and food entrepreneurs about what do they do, what are their successes, what strategies did they put in place. And the cool thing is that they're validating a lot of these strategies that we're talking about here. I've also got a YouTube channel. Take advantage of it. Some of these webinars are actually on the YouTube channel. And then the school. The best part about the school is that a lot of the courses are free. So when we're talking about strategies to maximize your trade marketing, foolproof strategies, the second one there, that's all about retail execution. The third course, Essential In-Store Marketing, that's all about leveraging your in-store demo program to maximize your sales. Down on the bottom there, how to maximize your digital strategy as you're working with other people, other social media, et cetera, as you're working with different retailers. These are the strategies that you need to have in place. I'm going to be putting together more courses as I go, so keep coming back. But the point is this: there are a lot of great resources out there to help you. In addition to that, the free weekly webinar series. I think I'm up to 20, and next week I think is 20. But the point is this: I'm trying to bring together the best strategies to help you grow and scale your brand. And as a side note, when I started doing this, what I started doing was sharing some snippets of the Trade Marketing Essentials course that I'm building. And so if you were to go back and watch each one of these, you're going to see actual snippets that I'm putting in those courses. And so to give you some insight as to what that's about. So go back and learn from my other webinars. This is perhaps this actually is one of the best attended webinars that I put together. So video 64, trademark strategies, growing sales and profits. I think this was the second free webinar that I did. So how can you take advantage of this? How can you learn more? Well, my free gift to you, my proven strategies to maximize trade marketing ROI course, I completely redid it. I've updated it. I've added a lot of content to it. As you can see, $297. And that's a bargain at that price. But I'm making it available to you for free if you use the code Trade Essentials at checkout. In addition to that, it's also going to include information about how to get the most out of the trade promotion calculator that I put on my website. That's free. The reason I'm showing you this, remember we talked about that slide earlier? We talked about understanding the causals. That's why this matters, because if you can understand the causals, the things that drive sales, that's going to help you identify what are the things that you need to do or do differently to help you drive sales. So let me watch a short
25% of your brand's gross sales are tied to your trade marketing, and yet over 70% of your promotional spending is wasted or ineffective. Trade marketing includes everything required to get your product on store shelves and into the hands of shoppers, including online. Retailers demand promotions and shoppers expect them. Maximizing your trade marketing ROI means more runway for sales growth, fuel for more innovation, and more. Managing promotions is challenging. Even big brands struggle with this, but you don't have their deep pockets. Your survival depends on you getting this right. You're tired of feeling like an ATM machine and wish you could scale faster. You know in your heart that the tired strategies everyone else uses won't help you stand out on a crowded shelf. The light bulb goes on. Learn from CEOs, industry thought leaders, and founders who candidly share their insider secrets and advice with you. Now you have an abundance of tools to manage your trade marketing. Retailers now look to you as the category leader because of your proven ability to drive sales with your brand. Now you have the skills to confidently grow and scale your brand. The future looks bright. Visit Brand Secrets and Strategies today.
Okay, one more. Oops. Oh, over here. So let me show you this quick video too, because it's going to show you how to use that tool, the trade promotion calculator. This is really cool because this is going to give you the specific answers to those questions. By the way, they're all included in that course a minute ago. So check it out and do me a favor and share that with others. Are you tired of everyone having their hand out? Face it, retail's pay to play. Wish there was a better way to grow and scale your brand? Well, now there is. It all begins with effective promotion management, and that begins with calculating the ROI from your promotions. If only there were a free tool to do this. Well, you're in luck, because now there is. Before we go any further, we want to set reasonable promotional goals, and we want to set targets that we can reach. Before you know where you're going, you've got to go back and take a look at where you've already been. In other words, if you want to set effective goals, well, what do those goals look like? What kind of target are you trying to reach? Let me show you why this matters. Go to my website and click on the free promotion analysis tool button. On this page, you're going to get a wealth of resources that are going to help you identify exactly not only where you've been, but it'll help you help guide you to where you want to be. So as you scroll down, the first thing that you find on this page is this tool, the Promotion Efficiency Calculator. I designed this because I wanted you to think about how much money are you really spending on trade spending. Like I said, it's a little bit of a black hole and a lot of companies struggle to answer this. So generically speaking, if my annual gross sales are $800,000 a year and I spend 25% of that in terms of trade spending, then I'm spending about $200,000 a year to get my product in the hands of a shopper. Now, if I can save you 10% on that with the strategies that we're talking about now, then I can save you $20,000 annually. So the question at the end of the day is, what would you do with that money? So let's change some of these numbers and show you how dramatic this can be and why this matters. So let's say, just to make it easy, let's say I am a $1.2 million brand. Okay? At 25%, I'm spending $300,000 a year on my trade spending. Now, let's say that I'm able to go from 5 promotions down to 3 promotions. I realize there's a lot more in that, but just stick with me. So let's say that I have an opportunity to reduce a couple promotions to eliminate them. And let's say that I'm going to save about $5,000 per promotion. Well, if I can save $15,000, there you go. Then I am reducing my trade spending by 5%. Now, that's one retailer perhaps. What if I did that in 6 retailers or 7 retailers? Imagine how much money you could save. So using that same example, let's say that I'm able to save $30,000. Well, that's 10% like we saw a minute ago. What if I'm able to save 20%? That's $60,000 that you could put back into your brand to help grow and scale. I just eliminated 12 different promotions, or a different way to think about it is I eliminated one ineffective promotion at 12 different retailers. And remember, this is how you make your brand more attractive to potential investors. Now, let's say that after you start getting really efficient at this, you're able to reduce your overall trade spending. Let's take it down to 20%. Okay, but wait a minute. Remember, we said that we saved $60,000 on promotions. So we'll go back to the $60,000. You just reduced your overall trade spending from 25% to 20%, from $300,000 to $240,000. And in the process, you were able to increase your efficiency from 20% to 25% for the $60,000. Now, as a percentage of your total sales, we're still saving a ton of money, $60,000 in this example. But the reality is, if you're saving 20% on your overall trade spending, you're most likely saving a lot more in terms of your efficiency, maybe 30%. And that's because you're more efficient, because you're using your knowledge to be able to choose which promotions are more effective. You're choosing the promotions that are going to do more to elevate your brand. My point is this. Play around with this and see how these numbers impact your sales. Use your best guess to define how much you think you're spending in trade spending, and then use this as a benchmark, as a goal. Set reasonable goals. Again, how much did you spend on a particular trade promotion? Back that out. Well, what percentage is that? Okay, now if you back out 2 of them, what if, for example, on a trade promotion you spend $5,000, but now with your new skills, you're able to get more out of that. You're still spending the same amount of money, but now you're able to grow even more sales. Anyhow, play with this. It's free. It's my free gift to you. This is how I give back. Leverage this tool to help you set appropriate goals to maximize each and every dollar of your trade spending. Okay, so now let's scroll down and look at the promotion analysis tool Lite. So here you're going to see a lot of the things that you're going to see on a typical promotion sheet. So do your very best to complete this. Hi, I decided to stop that because I realized we're kind of running closer on the up on time. Do me a favor, go in and look at that. That's actually on the website. You can take a look at it. But the point is this, that next section that we're talking about, that's where I start getting into the nuts and bolts. That's where we start talking about what is your lift? What are the incremental things that are driving your sales? When you can leverage that, that's when you start seeing the biggest impact. This is where you start developing the foolproof strategies for your trade marketing. And by the way, one of the things that a lot of people don't really realize is that this isn't just about you. If you can help your retail partner drive more sales in their store by leveraging your newfound insights, your new skills, that's a win-win for them too. So let's talk about independent retailers for right now. They struggle in this industry competing against the big brands and the retailers. And if you can help those independent retailers, give them a competitive advantage, that's how we do this, by sharing these insights with them. So I'm going to go through this kind of quick. And by the way, if you've got questions, please put them in. So a broker is an external sales team for your brand. You want to leverage them to execute on your behalf. So you need to clearly define what role should brokers and distributors play. The reason that matters is because a lot of people don't. They expect brokers to work miracles on their behalf and then are disappointed because that wasn't clearly defined. So how do you maximize your relationship with them? I'm going to kind of go through this kind of quick. So the way you do that is by giving them clear expectations. What do you expect from them? What do you need from them, etc. Communication is extremely important. And I've got a course I'm going to show you just a second that you're going to see that's really going to help frame all this. You want to support your brokers and your distributors. You want to give them retail-ready presentations. You want to help them succeed on your behalf. Remember, their success is your success. And you want to use SMART goals when working with them. So, and you'll revisit those goals on a regular basis. Last summer, a lot of big brands are reaching out to me, asking me, how do they get more out of their broker? How do they more effectively manage your broker? I spent sometimes, in some cases, the entire week working with a large brand's sales team, et cetera, at their sales retreat, et cetera. And so in this course are some of the strategies that I shared with them. The point is this. If you can help them more effectively, help their broker execute more on their behalf, that's how you get more runway. So we're talking about foolproof strategies. This is at the key of it. This is at the core of what we're trying to talk about. This is what's critically important. And the reason this matters is because retail execution, right? You guys can have the best plan for your brand, but by the time it gets to the retail part, if it's not executed flawlessly, it's going to fail. This is the single best way to differentiate what you're doing from every other brand out there. Scorecard. I talk about this a lot. This is actually in some of the courses, including the broker course and the trademark essentials course. How to leverage a scorecard to hold the broker accountable. And of course, scorecards a scorecard you want to use SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. As you implement your scorecard, you need to have two-way communication between the brand, the management, everyone else, as we talked about. You want to include your KPIs. What are your KPIs? Your KPIs are the guardrails that you put in place to keep everyone on track, to help them understand your product needs to be merchandised to the left of brand B or whatever. So why does this matter? Increase distribution and preferential merchandising. You can maximize your trade spending, maximize your promotions. This is where that efficiency comes in. This is higher sales and profits. And then happy, loyal shoppers. If you're able to give shoppers what they want, they'll come back. You can convert them from occasional shoppers into loyal evangelists. This, by the way, this is also what you need to be doing to help your retail partners, because you want to help them keep that customer coming back in the store again and again and again, and not give them an opportunity to go shop elsewhere. My trademarking essentials course. If you've got questions about it, I'd love to go through it and tell you more about it, but we don't have a lot of time. Reach out to me, schedule an appointment. But this is soup to nuts, everything you need to know about trade marketing. And I'm looking for a few brands that would like to go through this with me in the beta launch to help me make sure I kick all the tires and I've got all the I's dotted, T's crossed, et cetera. But the point is this. This is where I take your knowledge to the next level and beyond. And again, so thank you for everyone who's helping support this. If you've got questions, please reach out to me. I know that we're right at the top of the hour. Does anyone have a question right now that I can help with? Okay, so one question from Janice is, will this be available again? Yes, I'm going to edit this, get it up on YouTube as soon as I can. It takes a few hours to do that. Any other questions I can answer for you right now? If you've got additional questions, please reach out to me and let me know. So your homework, go back and take the free trade promotion ROI course. That course is going to give you the background that you need to have in place, the foundation you need to have in place to grow and scale your brand. And remember, as you're going through that course, how do you leverage that with retailers to give retailers, your retail partners, a significant competitive advantage? Anything else? Since we're at the top of the hour, we'll go ahead and call it, and we'll just thank you so much. So remember, next we're going to talk about creative funding strategies, and then the week after that, we're going to get deep into the business strategy, into the solid business plan, and how to leverage your business plan with your trade marketing strategy. Thank you for everyone for coming. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in a week. Don't forget to check out the podcast, the YouTube channel, and all the free content that's out there. Thanks.